Alright, how's it going, guys? This is Blake once again from theevidentries.com and continuing with the next part of Shadows Before Dawn. Ooh, it's actually really bright in here. I'm actually recording this during the day for once, so yeah, atmosphere is going to be a lot brighter than usual, but we should be able to power through it. So we're doing tool number 18 today, which is entitled Goodbye Victim. This is a pretty lengthy one, I want to say. Maybe not as long as tool number 16, but a lot of content in here, so let's jump into it. So, Goodbye Victim. First section. Who is the real victim? Part of loving ourselves is stepping out of the role of the victim. Many of us think we do not have a victim mentality when in fact we do. There are varying extremes of victim mentality. It can manifest when we have a handicap, and pity ourselves for an accident that we can't change and that has now caused us to feel as if we are incapable. It can also manifest when we have a job we hate but are convinced we have to keep it. In fact, we are in the role of the victim anytime we feel powerless to something else, whether we feel powerless to a self-limiting belief, a person, a government, or a circumstance. It's easy to slip into the belief that we aren't in control of our own lives, but whenever we don't see that we are in control of our own lives, we get stuck in that role of the victim. Being a victim does have some nice perks, though. First of all, it allows us to not have to take responsibility, which can feel like a burden and can get very, very heavy when we are adding blame on top of that responsibility. Interestingly, the universe does not recognize blame. Blame is something that originates from the human psyche. Make sure this is actually recording. Okay. Yet another perk of being a victim is that you don't have to take responsibility for your future. It's hard to realize that no one is going to save you from your situation. One of the most painful realizations you can have is a realization that no one can rescue you from yourself. When you feel powerless already, the awareness that there is no one to help you but you is enough to push you right over the edge. Many people commit suicide when they come to this realization. I almost did myself. Those of us who feel the most powerless are faced with the decision either to commit to life and do what we can with what we have from where we are, or to commit in another direction and choose death. Taking responsibility for our future means we have to drop the thoughts, words, and actions that aren't getting us anywhere. It means we have to change, and let's face it, change is scary. It's scary to hold the weight of your own life in your own hands. But our lives will only become lives of joy, freedom, and peace when we can own the responsibility not only for what was, but also for what is and what is to come. Another perk of being in the victim role is that we get attention and validation for it. We mistake the concern and pity we get from others for love. It begins to become the only way we feel love. We become very scared that if we gain autonomy, our problems go away. We will be all alone. People get tired of giving us attention and validation for our pain after a while. They begin to gravitate away from us, and we feel abandoned. Our only hope is to find someone new to validate and pity us. Next section, owning your own life. So it's understandable that we would seek out a role as victim when we have not learned how to love ourselves yet, because all that is left without pity and attention is deprivation. This pseudo-love we are filling ourselves up with is never enough, though, because it's a poor substitute for real love. Although it feels temporarily good, it ultimately handicaps us. When we play the role of the victim, we get to be right and everyone is on our side. But feeling righteous is a temporary high. Being the victim feels completely powerless, so feeling right feels a little bit more powerful than that. Besides, other people join our side, and we feel loved when they agree with us and defend us. We feel safer when others are on our side, which also feels better than being a defenseless victim. Regretfully, this is not real love, and this is not real safety. It's pseudo-love and pseudo-safety. People may defend us and agree with us that we are the innocent ones, while someone or something else is the bad guy. But no matter what other people say, we are still victims. We are just pitied, non-responsible, validated, righteous, and defended victims. In this way, the idea that it's possible to be a victim is a distortion. It's a game of psychological twister. The truth is, no one can control your life because no one can control your thoughts. It's always your choice to believe or not to believe a given thought. When you realize that you adopt your thoughts, you also realize you can adopt different thoughts. At that point, you can stop living your life according to how things are and begin to live it according to how you want it to be. Living a good life then begins with realizing that you are not really a victim, and it ends with learning how to be the true owner of your life. Probably, I want to say the most important paragraph so far. Next section, learning gratitude and forgiveness. One of the best ways to step out of a victim mentality is to develop gratitude. Gratitude is simply appreciative notice and conscious acknowledgement of what brings you joy to focus on in the present moment. Focusing on gratitude shifts you out of self-pity. You can't think the thought "poor me" and be grateful for something in your life at the same time. It allows you to ask yourself the question, what is the hidden blessing or opportunity within this situation? When you recognize the answer to that question, it's impossible to feel like a victim. The best way to cure yourself of victimhood is forgiveness. Forgiveness is the practice of making peace with where you were, thereby releasing you from the bondage that prevents you from touching happiness. When you forgive someone, it's as if you are setting a prisoner free, only to discover that you were the prisoner all along. When we do not find a way to make harmony with the things that cause us to suffer, they become wounds of the mind. They become wounds that we carry with us in our consciousness and subconsciousness every day. The pain becomes like shackles that we are so used to living with, we don't even realize we have the power to take them off. When we truly forgive someone, the negative emotion no longer exists. Instead, we sense a deep feeling of peace. Because of this, forgiveness is freedom. Sometimes, though, simply for the sake of knowing the inherent goodness of forgiveness, we try to rush ourselves into forgiveness when we have not yet changed the thoughts we are thinking about whatever we are trying to forgive. It can never happen this way. Interesting. For example, when a person says, "I will forgive but never forget," it's the very tone of captivity in that statement that lets you know true forgiveness has not yet occurred. What we mean to say is that we will never forget what happened in the past, but the recollection of it will not include the negative emotions anymore. When we reach total forgiveness, gratitude is the only emotion that is left. To say I have forgiven and not fully feel the peaceful freedom of that statement is to use the word forgiveness but not embrace the full meaning of it. When we are using the word without actually feeling the peace and freedom of true forgiveness, we are trying to convince ourselves to ignore, suppress, or gloss over a very deep wound. Under these conditions, the internal wound, just like a physical wound, will fester. When we are deeply hurt by something, we feel powerless. We have to acknowledge the hurt and sadness and even get angry first before we can hope to forgive. It's important that we give ourselves permission to go through this process in order to avoid the trap of feeling guilty that we have not fully forgiven yet. On top of the terrible things of being hurt, when the time is right, it will feel good to forgive. Forgiving other people isn't the most important part of owning your life. The most important part of owning your life is to forgive yourself. In truth, forgiveness has nothing to do with anyone else anyway. Although forgiveness feels very good to a receiving party, forgiveness is only ever about yourself. Whether it's someone else you are forgiving or yourself, forgiveness is only ever unilateral. I think that's how you pronounce it, unilateral. We don't even need the other person present in order to forgive them or to forgive ourselves. The healing takes place within us and for us alone. Forgiveness is not about taking anything back. Instead, it's about releasing ourselves so that we can go forward. If we have any pain present within us at all, it means we have something to forgive. Next section, how to forgive yourself. Gotta get a little water here. There are thousands of self-help techniques and meditations aimed at forgiveness. Some of them may not work well for you, while others you will find truly transformational. I'm going to introduce you to one that I've had great success with myself and that I've heard was life-changing for others. Sit alone as if in meditation and focus on your breathing for a time. Then set a timer for 2 minutes. In those 2 minutes, think of something that someone else said or did that made you feel very hurt and you are still holding on to the memory of. Remember how it felt, where you were, and what you were thinking. Allow yourself to be taken back completely into this space of pain. When the timer goes off, set it for 5 minutes. During these 5 minutes, visualize yourself walking up to that person and saying, "I forgive you." Tell him or her any healing thing you can think of that lets them know that you understand the painful emotions they were feeling that allowed them to act the way they acted or say the things they said. Imagine this person fully accepting your forgiveness. Imagine them wanting it and just being afraid to ask for it. Imagine yourself embracing them. Stay with this feeling, creating the thought of this reconciliation until the timer goes off. Then set the timer for 2 minutes. During the 2 minutes, recall a time that you did or said something you regret doing. Let this be the memory of something you still carry the pain of having done. Recall the way it felt when you did it. Where were you? Who was there? And the pain on that person's face. Allow yourself to be taken back into that space of pain. When the timer goes off, set it for 5 minutes. And for those 5 minutes, imagine asking forgiveness from whomever you hurt. Imagine wanting it. Imagine the person giving it to you freely. Imagine him or her feeling joy in giving forgiveness to you. Imagine the pain going away completely as you create and allow the reconciliation, knowing it's all okay now, it's over, you are forgiven. This time, when the timer goes off, without setting it again, imagine you forgiving yourself for the same action or the same thing you said. You could say to yourself, "I forgive you. I know you are a loving person," or "I know you never meant to hurt anyone." Say anything to yourself that you need to hear in order to free yourself from your feelings of guilt or disappointment. Imagine hugging yourself. Imagine telling yourself that you understand why you did it. Let yourself know how much you believe in yourself. Maintain this visualization for as long as it takes for you to begin to feel a sense of peace, release, and even hopefulness. When you feel ready, open your eyes. Some people find it easier to do this visualization with someone else instead of alone. If you want, you can ask another person to be the one to watch the time for you and verbally guide you through the different sections of this process that you may be afraid to initiate alone. Be aware that this process can be very difficult. It can be like uncorking a dam that has been building up pressure for years. It can make you aware of your deep wounds and vulnerability. It can even make you break down. Just remember that breaking down is better than the pressure you are living with, because what you are in fact breaking down is everything that is preventing you from loving yourself. Next section, words of forgiveness. I should probably get some water. So, words of forgiveness. Another way to find forgiveness is to write a letter, no matter if the person is alive or dead, either offering someone forgiveness or asking for it from him or her. You could send this letter if you want to, or you could partake in a very cleansing practice of going somewhere where there is no risk of anything catching fire and burning the letter. You can watch the fire consume the words you have written, knowing everything you have said is being absorbed by the universe. Let the fire pull away the pain in you as it pulls the words and the paper into itself. It's very profound to write yourself a letter asking for your own forgiveness or giving yourself forgiveness, and then burning it. Give yourself permission to experience a very strong emotional release that often accompanies this process. You can follow the intense release of such practice by making use of the fertile ground of non-resistance that is present afterward and focus strongly on something positive. For example, take the time after the burning ritual to write affirmations or write lists of positive aspects about your life right now. We are not really free if we are still angry. We are not really free if we are still sad. We are not really free if we still yearn for justice. Negative emotion is your indication that you are still feeling like a victim. I'm not saying that to forgive someone. Means that you resign yourself to something that is negative, although that is what has been bastardized into. Instead, forgiveness in the sense is letting go of what is holding you back, so you can turn in the direction of happiness and stop carrying your past into your present. Every piece of happiness is found in the alteration of the point of view you are holding about a subject. If you remove yourself far enough from the limited point of view of pain, you will see that we are all nothing but victims of victims. Remove yourself even further from that, and you will see that there is no such thing as a victim. Victimhood is a prison, and forgiveness is the way out of it. When we allow ourselves to be victims, we are letting the people and circumstances in our lives dictate how we feel and ultimately who we will be. We feel powerless to our own lives and waste our time asking, why me, instead of doing what we can with what we have from where we are. When we have the bravery to take control of our own lives and look at life's challenges as opportunities for us to become more and to grow and expand into more genuine expressions of ourselves, a whole new set of possibilities arises from every experience we have. Even in the midst of the most terrible experiences, we always have the power to choose our thoughts about the experiences and our responses to the circumstances. We are always responsible for who we're being in relationship to the experience. The choice between staying a victim to your own life and becoming the victor of your own life is always available to you right now. Your choice does not belong to anyone else. No one is capable of saving you, loving you, or making you happy. It's your capability to do these things. Once you fully accept that no one is coming to rescue you and no one is going to give you all the love you've been lacking, you can decide to move on and fully own your life. It's my promise that if you choose to move forward and become the champion of your own life, you will come out. You will come out the other side. The other side is beautiful, and on the way here, you will find yourself. You will discover just how capable and powerful you are. Look at your life and ask yourself this question: if I were to take full responsibility for my life and really own my life, what would I do differently today? Then when you are ready, go for it. You do not have to improve all aspects of your life at once. Just take the next logical step from wherever you are. Once you are done with that step, take the next one. Simply keep taking the step that is right in front of you, and one day you will be living the kind of life you do want to own. Alright, and that is everything for tool number 18. Quite a lot to take in. I would say even a good portion of this you can actually coin under the subject of personal responsibility. Because getting towards the end of there, when she's talking less about being a victim and just more towards taking control of your life, it's sort of etching into that territory, though I suppose moving out of being, trapped in that victimhood mentality is in fact taking responsibility of your life. So a lot to take in there for sure. Yet another long one, but a very good tool for sure. This is one that I'll probably go back and read several times. But yeah, not going to spend too much time reflecting on it. We're almost done. A couple more tools left on tool number 19. It is Sunday right now at the time that I'm recording this. I'm going to try and have this up the same day. But yeah, if possible, let me see how long tool number 19 is. Pretty lengthy, actually. Oof. Oh yeah, this is a long one. Wait. Yeah, this one's pretty long too. So I may actually have to do this one on Tuesday or tomorrow night. So this one for sure won't be up. Tool number 19 probably won't be up for a couple days, but I'll try to have this one out as soon as possible. But if you're watching it, there you go. But anyway, thanks for checking this out. If you guys enjoyed it, let me know what you thought in the comments below. Would love to hear your thoughts on the tool, and I will see you guys in the next part. Take care.